book lovers, it is GSwiz here, and I'm here today to talk about the 2023 releases that I did not get to in 2023. If you didn't know, this is a 7 on Sunday topic, and I'm the host of 7 on Sunday. I will link the Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out and you can participate in a topic in the future, or you can suggest a topic. And usually at the end of the year, I like filming this topic because I do have the intention of getting to new releases, and sometimes I prioritize some over others, but you know, in some cases, I can't read them all. At the end of the day, we don't have all the time to read all the books within a year, you know? Even though this year I made a lot of progress with demolishing my TBR, there were still some new releases that I could not get to that I really want to read eventually, but I just do not have the time or the energy to get to them. That all being said, I still want to read these books eventually, so I'm compiling this list. This is kind of like a list that I will look back on, like let's say a few weeks into the year or sometime further in the new year, to see what kind of new releases I wanted to read at some point that I just did not get to, and have some ideas for what to read. Because sometimes I am reaching out for some new ideas, and videos like this help me gain some new ideas for what I want to read, what I want to put on my monthly TBR, all that stuff etc. I have a list here of some books that I did not prioritize reading that came out this year that I was really excited about, but either life got in the way or I am saving them for a rainy day. So I guess without further ado, let's get straight into talking about these books. So we are starting off with a sequel to actually one of my favorite books I read in 2023, and that, my friends, is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. This is the sequel to Belladonna, and I specifically decided I was not going to read Foxglove this year because as much as I love and I adore Belladonna, I just don't know if I can put myself through a similar cliffhanger to Belladonna. Even though I did read Belladonna, I specifically read Belladonna because I was meant to complete a Pop Sugar reading challenge prompt, and that challenge prompt was to read a book from an author who has your initials. My initials are GA and Adeline Grace's initials are AG. They were the closest author I could find to someone with my initials. So I read Belladonna. I had to for that challenge prompt, and I want to read Foxglove. You know what? It's taking me a lot of personal restraint to not read Foxglove, but I also don't want to go through a terrible book hangover like I experienced after reading Belladonna. I am personally saving my reading experience of Foxglove for when we are closer to Wisteria, which is coming out sometime later in 2024, I believe. If it gets pushed out to 2025, I will rage because I so badly want to complete the series. However, I don't want to use my mental energy and my emotional energy on a sequel that I could push the reading experience out for the next year if we're gonna have a conclusion in the next year, if that makes sense. So that is the specific reason why I plan to not read Foxglove in the end of 2023. It has been pretty painful to restrain myself, but at the very same time, I think I will thank myself later. It was difficult after reading Kingdom of the Cursed because I really wanted to read Kingdom of the Feared straight away, sometime like a couple years ago, only for Kingdom of the Feared to come out the next year. So I'm trying to avoid that same scenario here. And I know I'm usually big on mood reading, but in this case, I just want to avoid a book hangover. That is all. And the next 2023 release that I missed this year was Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. Now, similarly to me pushing out my read of Foxglove, I am also pushing out my read of Her Radiant Curse. I have a feeling that this is going to be a duology, kind of similar to Elizabeth Lim's other series. Like, you've got the Six Crimson Cranes duology, you've got the Spin at the Dawn duology. I believe that Her Radiant Curse is also going to be a duet, and I am actually very happy that I read Six Crimson Cranes the year that The Dragon's Promise came out, because it definitely saved me from a terrible book hangover after the terrible cliffhanger in the ending of the first book. I really loved Six Crimson Cranes. I did not love The Dragon's Promise as much, and I am noticing a pattern with some of Elizabeth Lim's book series. I am noticing that the first book tends to be the best one, and the second book just so happens to be a rushed ending, or just like some extra filler. I don't know. I feel as if that has happened with both the Spin the Dawn duet and the Six Crimson Cranes duet. So I'm really hoping that this does not happen with this this new duet that is set within the same world or is a companion. Fingers crossed it is even better than the other two series that I just mentioned. Yes, I do plan on getting to it, but I am holding off from getting to it anytime soon. I plan to get to this one in 2024 if the sequel and conclusion is coming out in 2024. I am excited for it. I do love Elizabeth Lim's works. It's just I don't want to set myself up for a disappointment. I don't want to read a book and then have high expectations for the sequel the next year. I mean, if I did that with the Six Crimson Crane series, I would be much more disappointed than what I was last year when I actually completed the duet. And another 2023 release that got away was A Kingdom of Fire and Fate by Holly Renee. This is actually a companion sequel to the Stars and Shadows trilogy. So in the initial trilogy, we are following one couple, but in this spin-off standalone, I believe it's a standalone, I'm not too sure if it's a first in a series following this couple or if it's a standalone, we are following a couple that we met in book 2 of the Stars and Shadows series. And I am so excited to read this book and follow this couple, but everything has just been getting in the way. I am looking forward to reading this one eventually, but this one purely just got away. I definitely do want to get to this one sometime in 2024. I find this series to be absolutely comforting. I'm not intimidated by this one at all, and I reckon that Holly is going to do an excellent job with this couple, especially because she laid the groundwork in the initial trilogy for this couple to thrive, so I bet they are going to thrive. And the next 2023 release that got away was Yearning for Her, which is a standalone, or I believe a first book in a companion series, I'm not too sure, by Tiffany Roberts, my new favorite comfort author duo. So yeah, I love Tiffany Roberts' monster romance, and I believe this was the first monster romance that they announced when I started following them on social media. This one came out sometime earlier this year, and I wanted to get to it, but I did not get to it. Once again, I kind of think that's definitely because of my TBR and my set priorities, but I will get to this one eventually. That all being said, I still have many Tiffany Roberts books to get to, like around 20 or over, so my TBR from Tiffany Roberts specifically is really high, so I am definitely not surprised that I did not get to this one in 2023, but I do plan on getting to this one sometime in 2024 or for the years to come, because Tiffany Roberts, they are an author duo for me. I will pretty much read and buy anything that they put out. I mean, I will buy their books if obviously they have a pretty packaging. I don't know. This is a side note, by the way. I have been living for the fact that Tiffany Roberts have taken it upon themselves to repackage some of their books, because as much as I do appreciate their works, some of their covers with stock image models, they do need to go, and I'm happy that they acknowledged that they do need to go. Honestly, I'm living for the fan art, and I think that Yearning for Her has a very pretty cover for a good monster romance, and so many other releases from them do. So I'm hoping to get all of their books once they're all repackaged. And the next 2023 release that got away was Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have a few special editions of this specific book, and you know what I prioritized by Jennifer L. Armentrout this year? I reread the Dark Elements series and the Harbinger trilogy, and at the point that I'm filming this video, I have not even read her newest release in the Blood and Ash world. I haven't read the third book in the Flesh and Fire series yet. My priorities with Jennifer L. Armentrout's books this year have been slightly warped. I am usually the first to read her new releases. I mean, especially when a new Blood and Ash book would drop, I would immediately be there for it. But I don't know, for some reason, I've just been prioritizing her backlist this year. And you know what? At first, I was not excited about Fall of Ruin and Wrath because I have been struggling with the Blood and Ash series. I personally think that Jennifer needed a little bit of time to write the fourth book, because the fourth book, I think, demolished the progress that was happening in the series. In my personal opinion, I did like the fifth book in the series, even though it was essentially book one written in Castiel's perspective and whatnot. I think in all honesty, if I didn't reread Jennifer L. Armentrout's Dark Elements and Harbinger series this year, I would not be as excited for Fall of Ruin and Wrath as I am now. I initially was just getting absolutely burnt out on her new releases, but as I'm filming this video, I know what JLA is capable of writing. I am kind of optimistic about the reading experience I will have with Fall of Ruin Ruin and Wrath, because Jennifer has taken a bit of time away from the Blood and Ash world and has started to build a new world. And I'm thinking to myself, but I'm also hoping that this could be the start of something really great. I am so happy that this year I read the Covenant Saga and I reread some of her books, as well as diving into the Blood and Ash world for a little bit. I think this year, 2023, was a perfect year for me to remember why I loved reading Jennifer L. Armentrout in the first place. After a dreadful 2022, when I read The War of Two Queens and was absolutely appalled. I am just hoping that Jennifer working with Tor to release Fall of Ruin and Wrath, that the story is well written and well rounded. And that it is compelling, because you know what? Jennifer L. Armentrout has the potential to write a really compelling and addictive story. Me rereading The Dark Elements and the Harbinger series within a few days, within these last few months, definitely screams that. I do plan on reading this one immediately sometime soon, but yeah, priorities, man. There's just been so much going on. I am more excited to read this than I am to read anything else in the Blood and Ash world, and that's so sad because I love the Flesh and Fire series specifically. However, I have a feeling that I will potentially push out my reread of the Flesh and Fire series to 2024 as well. I think after Jennifer announcing that there's going to be a 4th book in the series, when I initially expected it to be a trilogy, I think from that day onward I got less excited. And I hate that, because yes, I love a good extended, well fleshed out series, but for some reason I am just a little bit afraid. I don't know what route this is gonna take, so I am gonna take a break from this series as well and wish for the best in 2024. And the next 2023 release that got away was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So I found out that this book got picked up by Simon & Schuster. I was like, oh, that's a pretty cover, I want to check that one out. But then, you know, I got it, and I don't know, hype died down. But see, the thing was, after the hype died down, a few weeks later, it picked back up. So it became relevant again. In the period that the hype died down, I forgot I even owned the book. This is a 2023 release that I have just let slip under the radar. And once again, I feel as if I don't prioritize first books in a series that much, unless of course I get it in, like, let's say my monthly book boxes, and then I see the audiobook on Scribd or something. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I want to use my monthly allowance to check that audiobook out, so I will prioritize it if I'm having to pay Scribd monthly for a few audiobooks to listen to. Stuff like that. It's happened a few times with Fairy Loot books like The Hurricane Wars and Forged by Blood, all that stuff, etc. But with Powerless, for some reason, I've just let that book slip under my radar, and I need to bring it back onto my radar. Like, I really need to prioritize it. It's pretty much Hunger Games meets Red Queen. I've mentioned this before, I will mention it again. The funny thing was, as soon as I heard that pitch, I was like, no way. Like, are you serious? No way. Like, it's gonna be completely opposite from that. And then I read the synopsis, and the synopsis pretty much reflects the aspects of the Hunger Games and Red Queen stories. I'm like, dang it. Yeah, no, they nailed the pitch with that one. This book is doing absolutely successfully at the moment. I really want to read it, but I just did not prioritize it in 2023, and I'm really sad about that. So I'm hoping to get to this one sometime in 2024 and let you guys know how I go with it, because it sounds right up my alley and the cover is stunning. And the next 2023 release that got away was The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Panyaranda. This is the first book in Chloe C. Panyaranda's new series. If you guys don't know who Chloe C. Panyaranda is, they are the author of the Air Comes to Rise series, which is meant to be a 7-book series, and currently they are experiencing difficulty in completing the series. However, The Stars Are Dying, or the series, I don't actually know what it's called. No, actually it's called the Nightfall series, or the Nightfall trilogy. I really don't know how long the series is going to go for, but this is a passion project that they are working on the side, trying to finish the Air Comes to Rise series, which is really exciting. Like, I'm actually very happy for Chloe, because I would personally find it really difficult to balance out different projects, but apparently she can, and I'm really happy for her. And recently, The Stars Are Dying also got picked up by a publisher as well. I actually purchased this book on Amazon because I wanted the print-on-demand hardback. As soon as I found out that the print-on-demand hardbacks were going out of print, out of production, I immediately had to snatch a hardback for myself. So I have it, I have a copy, but I just haven't read it yet. So I'm hoping to get to this one sometime next year. I am kind of hoping to get to this one as we get closer to the final book. But that all being said, when it comes to independently published romantasy, I mean, this is technically going to be picked up as a trad published romantasy, but considering that it started off as an indie pubbed romantasy. A lot of the time, indie romantasy tends to go on for a while until the author is like, okay, let's stop this right now. Because the author usually has full control of their work. And you know what? That's a great thing, because unlike the authors who are stuck in like duology contracts where they want to write a trilogy but they can only write a duology, or their contract gets cut because they're not really doing well according to the publisher, all that stuff, etc. This is a completely different scenario, and this is something that makes me really happy for independently published authors. It kind of goes against what I do because I'm a series binger. I usually wait until a series is complete before I start reading it, and it frustrates me sometimes. However, I'm still happy for the author. So yeah, like I usually push out reading books until we get closer to the end of a book series. But right now, I'm in the middle of collecting so many indie romantasies that I just can't pick up. I really can't until I know when the book series is going to end. It is frustrating, I know, but that's just me. I know, I'm a pain. I plan to get to this one sometime in the near future. I don't want to push it out to a time when it is confirmed that the final book is coming out, but at the very same time, I'm really tempted to. I'm really tempted to just binge the series, you know? The second last 2023 release that got away is The Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. This is the first book in a new series by J. Bree, and I believe it is J. Bree's first high fantasy book slash series. And I am very much happy for J. Bree, and I'm so excited to see where this new adventure is going to take her. As some of you may know, I am kind of a big fan of her Bonds That Tie series. It's a dark romantasy that I really enjoyed, but it is an urban fantasy rather than a high fantasy. So I am kind of happy that J. Bree is pushing herself out of her comfort zone and writing in a completely different kind of fantasy genre slash subgenre. Yeah, I am very much looking forward to getting to this one. I once again just got caught up in my own TBR. I really wanted to purchase this one immediately and read it. I think I definitely would have most likely picked this book up if it got released before Rare 2023 so I could read it and gush to her about it, but unfortunately the release for this book kept on getting pushed out, so I didn't get to read it before Rare. However, I'm really happy I did get to read her Bonds That Tie series, and I will be reading this one eventually. But yeah, I did miss out on this one in 2023. I've heard good things about it so far, so I can't wait to read it. And the final 2023 release that got away was a book that I was excited about once upon a time, and then as the release date kept on creeping closer, I got less excited for it, I got less hyped for it. I could not be more upset at myself. However, as I'm filming this video right now, I have been seeing some pretty good reviews for it. That, my friends, is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Yes, if Cassandra Clare's name sounds familiar, and if this book does not, Cassandra Clare is the author of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. She has been writing in the Shadowhunter Chronicles universe for over 15 years, maybe 20. I mean, I wasn't there for her fan fiction days. So, she's been in this world for a while. This is her first book that she's written outside of this world as a solo project, because she did write the Magisterium series with Holly Black. I just remembered that. But this is like her first journey into high fantasy. And at first, I was really excited about this. I mean, just the idea of like one of your favorite authors trying out a new genre slash subgenre is awesome. I mean, I just mentioned that with J. Bree. Authors venturing into high fantasy is really exciting. But then I started to feel less excited about it. I had started to realize in the second half of reading Chain of Thorns that the momentum was getting a little lost. I read the Shadowhunter Chronicles for the characters, for the families. I'm not too sure if I read the Shadowhunter Chronicles for Cassandra Clare's writing. I know people are gonna come at me with pitchforks and torches and stuff. I'm sorry, but I'm having a bit of a crisis here. I actually just don't know. I'm not saying that Cassandra Clare's a terrible writer. I think that she's definitely improved over the years. Seeing where she came from the Mortal Instruments, and then where she is now, she has definitely progressed as a writer, and I'm really proud of her for that. But I am very much invested in the Shadowhunter characters, and I don't know if I'll be invested in the Swordcatcher characters the same. And then a little controversy came to my attention about the characters and some of the aspects of the story being pretty similar to A Darker Shade of Magic by Victoria Schwab, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to unsee it. I'm trying to look at Swordcatcher and think to myself, this is going to be an entirely new story. But for some reason, after these comparisons were brought to my attention, it's really hard for me to believe that the story is its own thing. I don't know. I mean, yes, I need to read the book to discover that for myself. But as I got closer and closer to release date, I got less excited. And that makes me devastated because I was so excited to read Swordcatcher initially. I was over the moon when I found out that Swordcatcher was on GOODREADS, and now it's out and I'm not excited to pick it up. I swear to God, I did not have this on my 2023 bingo card, but here we are. I did not think I wouldn't read nor complete Swordcatcher in 2023, but here we are. And I've had so many people ask me if I'm excited about this book, and I kind of haven't put it on anticipated release lists. And that's definitely because I'm just less excited about it than I was a few years ago when Cassandra Clare initially announced it. This is a 2023 release I missed. I was not excited to get to this one in 2023, but I am hoping to get to this one eventually. I don't know if I'll get to it anytime soon though, because Cassandra Clare has announced that they are going on writing hiatus, and she does plan to continue the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but I don't know if a sequel to Swordcatcher is gonna come out anytime soon. I don't know if this is a standalone. You know what? I have not actually been paying attention to the small details when it comes to this. I was excited about it once upon a time, and then I think when the Darker Shade of Magic comparisons started coming in, that's when I just like looked the other direction. I honestly don't know. If you've read Swordcatcher and A Darker Shade of Magic, could you let me know in the comments whether or not they are very similar to each other? I just really need to know, because this controversy really scared me, honestly, because I love A Darker Shade of Magic. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and it kind of breaks my heart to find out that there was a possibility that it was ripped off. I really hope that it's not a rip-off. This is a high fantasy rather than the urban portal fantasy that A Darker Shade of Magic was. I don't know if this one's also a portal fantasy, but I don't know. There's only one way to find out, that is to read it, and for you guys to probably also let me know, that would be great. I just want to be able to separate the two in my mind. I mean, both the main characters' names are Kel. I need it to make sense. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the purple heart emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And I also have social medias. I'm at gswizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at gswizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.